Hey guys, Alex here from Homeschool of Bel Air. Today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you our 2019-2020 school year. If you're interested to see how our year is going or how it went, stay tuned. So really quick note, this video is going to be somewhat long. I'm going to be updating you guys on my boys' work, how they did, how they're doing, and basically what's going to be rolling over into our next school year. Okay, so the best way to begin, I think, is going to be just go in order, in the order that we do our curriculum on a regular day. So this is the writing, and like I said, today I'm going to be doing both boys because for the most part they kind of do the same thing. I'll have to do Evelyn on a later video. Okay, so I'll get into the draw and write. As far as handwriting without tears, we've done handwriting without tears for the longest. It is probably one of my favorite when it comes to writing curriculums. So let me go ahead and go with Vincent first. So as far as Vincent, as far as the school year goes, he is a little bit more than halfway done with it, but not where I think he would be. So this is where he's at right now. So he's on page 65 out of, what is it, 94 pages. So definitely a little bit more, or a lot more than halfway done. We're still working out of it. One of the things that I did notice, and I will admit, is considering he's okay at writing the cursive and doing the copy work that is in this book, he does have a hard time reading the cursive. So one of the supplement things that I brought out for him to work on is this cursive practice book that I printed out from Teacher Pay Teachers. And I don't have him work out of the book. We actually put in one of the little laminates into the pages, and then he does it with dry erase marker. But this one, we just kind of go letter by letter, and it's just review for him so he can remember what the letters look like. As far as reading them, he knows how to distinguish one letter from the next. And I noticed that it has been helping him a little bit more with the letter recognition. And this is going to be something that he's been working on. I'm going to have him continue working on this. And it's different activities. But because it's such a big book, I didn't want to have to print this out 3 different times for all 3 kids. So that's just been working out with the little plastic laminate. So that is what I have for him that he's been working on as far as supplement work. So far so good with the handwriting without tears. I'll have to show you guys what I decided to do for our next school year. We're not sticking with handwriting without tears. And when I film my video on curriculum picks, you guys will see what I decided to go with instead. And it was just, we just needed a little change, I think. So as far as Adrian, he's been working out of the printing power. And he too is about more than halfway. So he didn't finish this lesson here, but he's also like on page 63 out of about 95 or 94 for this one. We have not even been able to start with the Kickstarter to cursive, but that's okay. So we have this for him waiting as soon as he finishes this. Like I said, handwriting without tears has always been one of my favorites when it comes to handwriting. As far as draw and write, we've been working out of the book 2. The boys love these draw and write books. I just recently ordered book 3 so we can get that started as soon as we're done with this. And we're almost done with it. We're basically, and we do only 1 page every week, and it's basically every Friday. This is what we do instead of working from this. So right now, I believe we're in the, and I bought this book used, so it's drawn on. I think this is the one we have to do next, The Car in the Fog. And as far as that goes, I mean, it's going great. Draw what you see. We did skip around a little bit. They didn't want to do the apples. They didn't want to do the grapes. So we just moved on to squirrel, the owl, geese, scarecrow. And just as an FYI, I do have these draw and write journals on my Teacher Pay Teachers for free. I only have book 1 and book 2 up so far. I'll be working on book 3 soon. I'm kind of just making them as I buy the books because I don't know what's in them until I get them. So with Adrian, if you guys notice, I do have to write everything in marker and then he traces over. He's still not very fast when it comes to copy work, and it takes him forever. Not only that, they're sharing a book. So while they're writing, it's kind of hard for them to share the book. So while Vincent is writing, I get Adrian's book and I write it in marker, and then I give it to Adrian to write. It just makes the lesson go by, not necessarily a little faster, but it's just having to wait for that book. Like I said, we're sticking with this. We definitely love the Draw and Write curriculum. As far as writing, we had started, and I didn't buy like an actual writing curriculum. I just used some of the stuff that I had here. And I had these pages from the Crafty Classroom. These pages actually came with the Read curriculum when I had purchased the Read curriculum. And I just kind of created my own kind of like writing page. I don't know what to call it. And so basically what they were doing was they were filling this out. And this we were only doing on, I don't know if you guys can see it there. So, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So on Tuesday, what they would do is they would fill out this page. And then on Wednesday, they would go ahead and do this page. And this page was the more, like they're writing. So this is more of like a directive writing and drawing type of pages. For instance, I am Vincent. I am 10 years old. I am a boy. I like Legos and my new room. So this is basically how we were doing writing. We only got a couple pages in, and then we stopped doing it because the boys were also working on a journal, and they completed the journal. I'll try to show you guys that in a bit. And they kind of wanted to work on the journal more so than this. So we ended up just kind of stopping working on this and started working on the journal. So I mean, we got a couple pages in. I am saving these. I think I'm going to have them just kind of take off and start working on it because we didn't get very far. If you guys can see that. We only got into this many stories, and then we still have that many. So I think this is going to be something that I save for this coming school year and start doing this again, because they did enjoy it. But like I said, when I brought out those other journals, they really wanted to work on those instead. Okay, now for the next thing is going to be my spelling, word study, and phonics. So basically this is what we use, and this is for, again, for both boys. So I'll start with All About Spelling. That's our main spelling curriculum. I feel like we don't do it nearly as much as I'd like to. Both boys are actually still working at a level 1. We're just a few lessons further than I think when we started in the school year. Adrian is on step 9, and Vincent is on, I think we're still working through step, 24? 23. When it comes to spelling, I take it pretty slow. There's times where we have to repeat a lesson. If I feel like they're just having trouble with the dictation, or they're having trouble building the words. So we take it slow. I mean, spelling, if we really think about spelling, spelling is so much harder than reading. So I do take spelling a little bit slower, and we do sometimes stick to one lesson for a couple of days. But we're still working at a level 1. I love All About Reading and All About Spelling. You guys know that. I've been using this from the beginning also. And we're sticking with this for the next school year. Okay, so now word study. This is my biggest thing that I'm kind of disappointed in. I feel like they've redone their curriculum, and I think it's way different now. It's hard to find. I've been getting a lot of questions on the curriculum review video that I posted on. And I feel like even the publisher linked everybody to the new one. So it's a lot different, I think, now. I haven't really even looked into it. The boys were still kind of working out of this. It's not something that we do every single week. But the boys do like it when we do work on it. We're, like Vincent, for instance, is still on sort 15. And they do it by sorts, so that would be the equivalent of like lesson 15. So we're still there. I love this. I would love to say that we're going to use this again next year. Obviously, we are not, because the way that they redid it, I'm just not understanding the sets. I don't know. I just haven't looked into it enough, I guess. So that is the word study. When I do the curriculum picks for next year, you guys will see what I picked instead of this, though. Okay, so for Adrian, same thing with him. I think he's a little not as far along. He's on this one, and we're still working out of that one, which is sort 23. So we're still working on that. So, but like I said, we usually love this curriculum, but it's just been harder to find. Also for spelling, we work on sight word practice. So Adrian has been working out of the Spectrum kindergarten level sight word book. And if you guys know me, you guys know I'm not stuck on grade levels. I really don't care. I feel it out by where I feel like he's at. And he knows I've done an assessment on him. And when it comes to reading sight words, he is really good at his sight words. He's pretty far along. The spelling part is the part that gets him. And with anybody that knows with sight words, they're not phonetically correct. So he's really good at sounding words out, but obviously sight words, they're not phonetically correct. So we just kind of work through this. And I like these books. I actually like these books quite a bit. So that is what he's working out of. Vincent has been working out of this book, the complete book of sight words. And this is broken up into levels. Right now, he's currently on level B. And what I do is I just kind of rip out the pages and I stick them in here. So this is what he works out of, because this book is really thick to work out of. So that is just how we do it. He finished level A, so he crossed it off. And I kind of did the little color codes here. So right now he's currently working on what we just call the level blue. So that is what he's on, the blue words. And then as soon as he's done with that, he'll be starting the purple words. So that is kind of how we handle sight words for Vincent. And he'll be continuing working on that into next year. Explode the Code is such an awesome little phonics and spelling type of curriculum. It is a phonic mastery program. So it is so awesome. The boys have been loving it. I thought, in the beginning of the school year, I had bought a couple books for each one of the kids. And because we only do one page a day, it has taken them into pretty much the whole beginning of the school year. So they're still actually currently working on it because they're only doing one page a day. So as of right now, both boys are pretty, they're almost done with it for the school year. Adrian is on, he didn't finish it, but he was on page 82, and these books go up to page 94. So he's almost done. He has about 2 weeks to complete that. And then Vincent, I think, is just as far. Okay, so Vincent is on page 89 out of page 94, or 94 pages. So he's almost done with it. He should be done with it this coming week. So yeah, we're going to be sticking with this. The kids love these little books. Okay, now for reading. You guys all know that I love the All About Reading program. This actually, my son was kind of disappointed when I told him that this coming school year, or for level 4, that was the last one. He was kind of upset about that. But anyways, so this is where we're at. And I wish we were further along, but like I said, we fell behind. So it is what it is. Not only that, we were still working from the previous books when we first started this school year. So Vincent was still working from level 2 when we started the school year. He was able to complete that and start swinging to reading. We only do this twice a week. So Vincent does All About Reading Mondays and Wednesdays, and Adrian does reading Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that is how we work this in, so it's not super overwhelming for me. Okay, so Vincent is, and actually he has his notebook. He is currently on lesson 19. So that is where we're at as far as this. So that is about halfway done, I think. No, because it's 50 lessons, I think. So a little bit. Oh, he hasn't added his stickers. So kind of a little under the halfway point. This might take us into the next school year. And like I said, we're okay with that. Adrian was also working out of level 1 when we started the school year. He was a little less along than Vincent, so he's not that far into leap into reading. He is currently on lesson 9. Yes, lesson 9. So that is the one we completed this past week. So that is where we're at as far as All About Reading. So this too will most likely be something that we are still going to be working into the next school year. Let me go ahead and move on. Okay, next is grammar. So as far as grammar, we started the school year working out of the Hardcore Trophies grammar. And I had a feeling, I think I might have mentioned it in some of the videos, that I didn't think the boys were going to stick with it. So when it comes to the, and I'll tell you guys why. My boys hate writing. I mean, they're still young, boys. They hate writing. And when it comes to the Hardcore Trophies, grammar, there is a lot of writing you have to do because this is a textbook here. So what I usually do for them is I get a notebook, and this is where they're supposed to technically do their work. And if you guys see, Adrian didn't even do any of it. Like, he just refused to do it. He just wasn't having a good time with it. And basically, you're supposed to rewrite all the questions and then answer them basically inside the notebook. And I knew it from the beginning. Vincent did an okay job last year with this one. He would rewrite some of the questions and then answer them in the notebook. He did okay. Adrian just wasn't having it. And that's okay. I'm actually considering saving these for their older years because they are little great grammar little textbooks. So that was Adrian there. Vincent, he didn't fight me as much. I think he got a few done. So he actually did a few, not very many. And the way we were doing it was he would just write the date, the page number that he worked on from his grammar, and, the answers or whatever for the grammar topics or whatever it is were just written inside the little notebook. So Vincent did quite a few. Like I said, he didn't fight me as much, but he didn't have a good time with it. And if you guys know me and my style of homeschooling, if we're not having a good time with it, none of us are having a good time with it. I don't care how much money or how much time I put into it. We're taking it out. So I went ahead and took this out. And I feel like it's something that as they mature, they might enjoy it better. But right now, they're just not. So this book I had purchased, and I think I showed you guys this book in my curriculum picks video. Adrian was working out of this one, and he did like this one quite a bit. He worked on it, not a lot. I think we didn't get very far. This is going to be one that I might bring back this next school year. I'm not sure yet. No, he only got into like page 17. But I did like this one. He did like that one, but he asked to go back to the Muffet Girls. He asked me about it because I think when he noticed that he was doing all this stuff, he had asked me about the printable pages that I would print out for him. And thankfully, the Muffet Girls, when she launched her language packets, they were just kind of separated by nouns, by verbs, and they were just huge packets that focused on that one topic for a very long time. And that's kind of why I didn't like it, but she redid all of them, and she still sells them like that. But you also have the option to print them out by, I forgot what she calls them, but they're like in different packets, and there's 4 different packets, and there's like a lesson guide now and all sorts of cool stuff. So anyways, so that is how I printed it out for Adrian, and we've been working out of this instead of this book. And he loves it. I mean, he just loves it. He is pretty far into it. I mean, he's almost done with this little book here. He's a couple pages. He still has a couple pages to go, but I told him that as soon as he finishes this one, I'll print him out book 2 or the second packet. So he'll be working on this, I think into next year. I mean, he really likes these little grammar packets. And the one that I have is actually the 1st to 2nd grade level one. And, I mean, we love it. I don't know. You can't talk me out of these packets. These packets are awesome. So we're going to continue working on that. As far as Vincent, when we stopped doing the Hardcore Trophies grammar, before we stopped it, I actually took him to Mardell, and I told him, I said, look, we're going to look through some grammar books and see what you like. And he picked this one out. Believe it or not, he looked through a bunch. I pulled a bunch out, and he looked through them, and he picked this one out himself. And he's been doing a great job working from it. And for the most part, he's been working on it pretty independently. And that was kind of my goal with grammar, because both boys now work pretty independently from it. So we're not super in, because this was something that we got into already into the school year. So this is going to be something that he's going to continue to work on into the next school year. So he is on lesson 10. So he'll be taking off from lesson 10. So that is what we were doing for grammar. Let me move on. Okay, so anybody that has been following our homeschool journey from the beginning, you guys know that I've always loved Harcourt Trophies. We've used it since the beginning. It's like a literature-based, basically all-in-one kind of curriculum. Throughout the years, I have tweaked it. I have changed things around. I've use the spelling, not use the spelling, use the grammar, not use the grammar that comes with it, use the practice books, not use the practice books. We've done so many different things with the Harcourt Trophies. But I love it. When it comes to the curriculum itself, I love it. I love the stories in the little textbooks. I love basically everything how it teaches everything and how it's laid out. I just love it. So this is probably my biggest change that I made this past school year. And I made it probably more than halfway through the school year. I made the change. So this is what I did. Okay, so let me start with Adrian. This is his practice book that comes with his textbook. So we have the textbook. So I have a complete review and flip through this curriculum. I'll try to see if I can link that in description box or add some kind of iCard up here somewhere. Adrian completed his first workbook and his complete first textbook. He did this just basically how it should be done. Reading the story, doing your work, your little worksheets based on that story. This workbook gives you activities on phonics, grammar, spelling, a little bit of everything. Again, every day is different, so it just depends on what the story tells you or what the lesson is up here. So for instance, this would be your spelling for that story that we read. Adrian completed the first textbook and the first workbook. And Vincent, he's working at the Harcourt Trophies grade 3. He too completed his first textbook and his first workbook. So this is where we're at now. After they completed those two, the first textbook that come with the curriculum, I stopped them from doing this altogether. And we started doing, and it was mainly because I decided to make a reading journal. I was trying to put something together for them to have it be more like a reading response kind of journal. This is what it looks like. And I wanted it to be used based on the story that we read. So because after they finished those, I decided to create this. So we took a break from everything because I wanted them to work on the reading journal. This reading journal, I took it apart because I actually redid it for them. So I'll show you guys a new one. So as far as the reading journal, is the same thing. They read their story and they did a little reading response pages for the stories that they read. So for instance, Vincent read a story called Fortunately. I think that's what it was called, Fortunately. And on this page here, he got to draw the book cover, write the author's name, illustrator's name, what or who was the book about. They got to rate the story, if it was fiction or nonfiction story. The next day, we talk about the main character, what he's like, special traits about this character. And then they also get to draw their favorite part of the story. And then on the next page, we focus on the setting of the story. So obviously with the story, the little boy just had a huge imagination. So we didn't really have a setting. So Vincent just wrote imagination. Story sequence. So you get to sequence the story. And then new words. Basically what I was doing with this was I was just going through the book and finding words that he might not know. So fortunately and unfortunately. And we were going to try to define them. We stopped doing this for some reason. I don't know why we stopped. And then on the bottom part here was what would you change or add to the story? So he has an area. And for all of it, I either asked him to draw it or write it. Then I created a little area for the hunt and record. So this was just to add a little bit of grammar to their reading response. So they would just have to find nouns in the story, proper nouns and any adjectives, and then the cause and effect of the story. and then we would move on to the next story. So this is how we were doing it for a little while. And instead of working from hardcore trophies, because I was really just trying to figure it out, instead of working from hardcore trophies, I was just picking out books from our personal library and having him do it from those. This worked out fine for a little while, but then we missed hardcore trophies and I wanted to really just go back to hardcore trophies. So this is Adrian's here. So he was kind of doing the same thing, and then he was doing different stories, and it was just beginning to be kind of hard. So this is where I'm getting at. Okay, so it was beginning to get kind of hard because Vincent was working on one story, Adrian was working on another, then I have Evelyn working on something totally different. So what I decided to do was I kind of redid my reading journal book. I took it all apart, and I came up with this reading journal. Not this reading journal, I just added some bonus pages. So it's the same exact reading journal, but I made it to accommodate hardcore trophies. So then I ended up to the regular reading journal that I created. I added a think and respond page, and that is part of the hardcore trophies, the comprehension area. I also added, I left the cause and effect, but I added the focus skill, which is also part of the hardcore trophies. And then the making connection part, which is also part of the hardcore trophies. So in this reading journal, I took out the word hunt, like the noun and proper noun pages. And I added these 3 pages to, like I said, to accommodate the hardcore trophies. So this is what we've been using with hardcore trophies. And along with that, we're still working on the practice books. But what I'm doing, because I now have both boys working out of this book. And then what we're gonna do is when we're done with this textbook, we're gonna jump into this textbook. When we're done with this textbook, then we'll go into the next grade level, which is I think 4th grade level. And I already purchased that, and I'll show you guys that in our later video. Okay, so this is the one we're working out of right now. This is the practice book. So all I'm really doing is ripping out the pages because I have both boys working out of it now. And I just print out the pages for each one of the kids or each one of the boys. And this is their practice pages that they work on for the week. And then they do their reading journal with that. So it's a little bit more enjoyable. We get to go deeper into the story and really talk about the story that we're reading for the whole entire week. And that was the thing that I felt like this was lacking, because we're reading the story basically every day for 4 days. And we were just basically doing these worksheets. And I was like, okay, we read the story and then what? So, and that's kind of what moved me and prompted me to create this reading journal. And that's where I just kind of felt like something was lacking. And now that I put this together and we're doing our stories using my little reading response journal, it's making the story so much more enjoyable. Because like I said, we get to talk about, we get to go deeper into the story. We get to talk more about the main character, the setting of the story. And I'll show you guys a little contrast to show you guys how both boys are just working from it. So for instance, these are the same pages here. So right here, the boys got to fill this out based on the main character, the setting of the story, which is the little pond in the girl's backyard, the story sequence. I mean, you can kind of see the difference in Vincent's work compared to Adrian's work. But I'm kind of liking that we're doing this. I mean, every once in a while, I do incorporate Evelyn when I feel like she's paying attention to the story. And I did print her out a little reading journal also. Hers is the little basic one. And I do have it on my Teacher Pay Teachers, which is the first one I showed you guys that I tore the pages out. If you already own my reading journal, because I know some of my followers have purchased it, and you guys are interested in the additional pages that accommodate hardcore trophies, let me know and I can email you those extra pages. But this is the main change that we've done. And like I said, we're enjoying it a lot more. It's giving us more free time to do like part of the extracurricular activities. Like for instance, when we read the story about the whale, we were able to do almost like a whole little whale unit. We got to do a whale lap book together. And it was so much fun. But like I said, it allows us a little bit more time because I'm not jumping from one kid to the other, with different stories and different things. We're kind of just working through everything together. But that is a little reading journal, and that is how we're doing our hardcore trophies. Now, let me go ahead and move on to math. Okay, so math is a little bit of where I'm kind of all over the place. Okay, so let me go ahead and start here. Okay, so Adrian started the school year doing the Texas Go Math. We didn't get very far, and I don't have the pages because I was tearing them out. We got less than halfway through with this book. He just wasn't liking like the Texas prep pages, so we were just kind of skipping those. It has a lot of these word problems where I don't like word problems. The boys don't like word problems. Seeing this one has a ton of them. And I was noticing that I was just skipping a lot. We were skipping a lot. So I kind of just took that out. He was still working out of 1B. He's still kind of, I mean, every once in a while we pull it out and work on one page. We do like this quite a bit. So I still kind of keep this around. But what I ended up doing was I printed out some math workbooks for them. And this is kind of where Vincent is also. So as far as Vincent, he was working on the math teaching textbooks. And he was still working on this coming into this school year. And I had bought him Math 4 because I said, well, you know, as soon as we finish this, we'll start Math 4. So he finished this, but then I could never get this to work on my computer. Like the discs, for some reason, I was just having major issues with it. It got really frustrating. So we never even started this. And so I'll come back to that. So he finished this into the school year. Because we can never get this guy to work, we never got to start it. I think we're going to start it this year because we finally got it to work, which is no big deal. It's going to be just, you know, whatever, easy for him, but it's okay. We already talked about it. I printed out these math workbooks from online. There's just some McGraw-Hill workbooks that are free on their website. So that is what we've been working out of. So this is what Adrian's been working out of. That is what Vincent has been working out of. And I sometimes print out pages from education.com if I feel like they need extra practice on something. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Adrian got to a little bit of time and money with his workbook, and I remembered I had this book. So lately he's been working out of this book. Not as much of the time. He likes the money part. Actually, I have a divider. He likes the money part. So he's already done pretty much all these pages here when it comes to the money. And he's still going to continue to work on this because he's really having a good time with this. As far as the time, he hasn't gotten too far in when it comes to the time. I think that's where he stopped. Yeah, that's where he stopped. But he's focusing a little bit more on the money. So that is kind of what he's been working on, which I'm okay with. Like I said, when it comes to these two guys, I finally was able to get this to work on my son's computer. So he is most likely going to be working on this, continuing on. I told him he can probably even start it next week. The only issue that I'm having now with teaching textbooks is the CD-ROM works, but there's no sound to the discs. So I'm just, I don't know. I'm kind of annoyed and frustrated, but I mean, he said he was okay with it. And then Adrian will be starting this next year. And like I said, we'll go more into that on my next video. But I do love teaching textbooks. I do love that I don't have to teach a single thing when it comes to math. So my goal is to get this to work properly and get Adrian going on this. Okay, now for our extras. So let me start with geography. Okay, so as far as geography, our 50 states workbook, this is something that I put together with just free printables from education.com. We just kind of go state by state. We had started this a while back, and then I reformulated it and did it a little bit differently. And then we started doing it, and then we stopped doing it. And the boys really want to get back into it. So we've taken a little break, but we're going to go ahead and start back up. And I believe we're in Colorado. We started back up with California, and then now we're in Colorado. Well, the kids actually love doing this. So, and like I said, this is something that we do Monday through Thursday. Okay, so geography. So this one here, we were supposed to start it. We never did. So that is where we're at with this. We never started it. We just never found the time on Fridays to do it. So I don't know how I'm going to squeeze it in this coming school year. I'm going to try to, because these are brand spanking new. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. So that is that. So Vincent has a little coding book and then typing book. This typing book is from what is it? The Good and the Beautiful. And I don't like to buy a lot of things from religious-based curriculums or shops or anything like that. But I was trying to find something different. And I mean, he likes it, but I don't know. I mean, just the fact that we have to go into Word and I don't know. He still had more fun with the education.com typing program. So I recently repurchased this subscription to to education.com. So I think I'm going to put him back on that. I mean, it was all right. He was at lesson 11. That's where he was at. I don't know. I might have him work from it. I don't know. Undecided. The coding, he works on this just whenever he feels like it. This is what we're using, the DK workbooks, Coding in Scratch. I do want to get Adrian started on it. Their dad recently bought them a different coding book. It's also by DK. I'll show you guys that in my curriculum picks for next year. But he likes this, and it's pretty simple to understand and follow. I'm just kind of wanting them to get more into this for the next school year. Okay, now for social studies. As far as social studies goes, we are still going to be working on this come our next school year. We are on chapter 5. Yeah, chapter 5. So we're about, I mean, if you guys see that, we're about halfway down with our social studies. I'm not super worried about it. It's going to take us into the next school year, which I'm totally okay with. So that is where we're at as far as social studies. And you guys know me. You guys know I love Scott Forsman's social studies. So yeah, we'll be working into that for next year. And then this, important people in history, this is just something I put together for the kids. When it comes to, actually, I'll come back to the social studies real quick. When it comes to the Scott Forsman social studies, every once in a while in a lesson, you have a person that you kind of have to dig deeper in and, get to know that person. So it gives you a little lesson on that person and why they're famous and important. So that is basically what this is. So for instance, Sonia Manzana, let me find so it's the Sesame Street page. So I find whatever I can find online. This is an All About page that I put together. I don't think I have this on my Teacher Pay Teachers though, because it's just something I put together for the kids kind of quickly. So they get to draw the person, write down when they were born, when they died, the name of the person, and then what they're famous for. So obviously Sona Manzana, she's famous for being a host or a character in Sesame Street. So they got a little coloring page. William Levitt, we got to learn about William Levitt in another lesson. And Levittown and, like suburban homes, what they are today. So basically we got to learn about him, and I don't know, there he is. And same thing, we got to do that on him. Langston, Rosa Parks. So anything I can find online, obviously I'll print out if I can find something. Just a simple, fun way to extend those lessons that we're learning in our social studies. And I actually do the science also. Science doesn't do it as often, Science Fusion, but they had a lesson on Anders Celsius. So we did do a little page on Anders Celsius. So that is what that is. And let me go ahead and move on to Science Fusion. So as far as Science Fusion, same thing. We are a little less than halfway done, if you guys see the divider there. So we're on Unit 5. So we're going to be starting Unit 5, Lesson 1 this coming Friday. So actually, let me move his little divider because that is where we're at. So same thing. You guys know me. You guys know I love Science Fusion. This is going to also take us into the next school year. And like I said, I'm totally okay with that. So we're going to continue working through the summer and see just how far we can get with the social studies and the science. And that is where we're at as far as that. Now, history. Okay, so as far as Story of the World, we were on Volume 2, and we probably got 3 to 4 lessons in, or Chapter 3. So we got into 3 chapters. So Chapter 3, and I noticed it with the first lesson. They were kind of just losing interest on the audio CD. They just weren't focusing how they did when we did the first volume. As we got into the different chapters, I just noticed them just not really retaining any information. They just didn't really care. They didn't even want to do the mapping page. I think we did one of them. Yeah, we didn't even do the other ones. And I just thought it was probably moving a little too fast for them, maybe. I don't know. I ended up just kind of not doing history for a little while. And then I found the Evan Moore history pockets. And you guys know me, I don't like to start in the middle of things. I like to start from the beginning. So we went ahead and just started with the ancient civilizations again. So I got the ancient civilizations. I also got the Egyptian history pockets. So that is what we're moving into now. So we did ancient Mesopotamia. We're starting ancient Egypt. And then, like I said, I bought the secondary ancient Egypt history pockets. So we're going to start working from those as well. And this is what we've been doing. And the boys have been loving it. They have been loving doing history. We're actually incorporating a lot of YouTube videos. Let me move it up real quick. So any books that we're reading for history, I just kind of put them there. And that is what we're focusing on as far as history. It's taking us longer to complete the lessons on Fridays. So the way that we're accommodating that is we are now doing art after lunch. So you guys know that we homeschool from about 8 to about 12. My husband comes home for lunch at 12. So on Fridays, what we're doing is, because this is taking us a little bit longer to do because it's a lot more crafting. So then we do lunch and then we come back and do art. And because the boys love doing our art classes, they have no issue coming back up after lunchtime. So that is how we're kind of working this in. We're really enjoying the history pocket. So that is what we're sticking with. Okay, guys. So this is where I'm going to leave you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this little look into our update in our curriculum and what we've completed and what we haven't. And if you guys have any questions on anything, please feel free and let me know. Please feel free and let me know. As for right now, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.